How's the leg doing?
Both of them they've seen better days.
Yeah, I felt like it was you're gonna feel it, I think, for the
Yeah.
week.
Oh, for sure. I can walk though, so I'm good. We just got back from the store and gave it a little bit of just trying to get some blood flow in there.
Still swollen, or has it swelled up a little bit
Yeah,
more? Or
yeah. Both of them pretty swollen.
how did it feel overall? Like obviously in the fight, I mean, but like the day after, was it worse? Is it worse now than it was? Like,
I think right now it's worse than it was yesterday. I woke up today and just after sleeping all night, it was just stiff and yeah, I was just hurting. But the thing that's more bothersome than that, like the first punch that Gutierrez landed like fractured my orbital like 10 seconds into the fight, and I was seeing double the entire time.
wow, I think like a lot of people miss that. Obviously, the leg kicks were the things that
Yeah,
stood out, I guess. But
yeah,
you did a good job covering it because I had no idea. So.
yeah. It just kind of I got a decent poker face for my legs gave out, but like I got a decent poker face. I swear I thought like he could tell that I wasn't seeing right. It looked like I had a feeling my eye was like hanging, and I was like looking at him from a different level just because everything was there was two of them and they were just staggered. It was kind of crazy. Man, couldn't figure out my distance or anything from there, and then I couldn't get the. He did a great job not letting me breathe so that I could like even gather myself and try to correct things. Like he was just on me with those kicks, on me with those kicks. So
Overall, how do you feel like because you were traveling before, right? You went and cornered Ricky Simone in
yeah.
Jacksonville. How did you feel like the travel back and forth and everything going on with the pandemic? Do you think that had anything to do with your performance? Do you think that could have been a difference? And looking back, is it something that would have, if you could go back, would you have still taken the fight?
I, I, I know me. I know how I am. I'd still be taking the fight. I just know how I am. I think maybe without all the traveling, I could have been better prepared. But on 10 days' notice, there's only so much that can be done. So I think my preparedness was subpar. I realize that now. For the notice, I mean, I thought we'd done enough that I could actually I'd be able to figure some things out, and I was just a step behind every time, unfortunately.
What advice, I guess, would you give for fighters who are considering like not taking a fight or taking a fight? A lot of the fighters I spoke to were like, "Yeah, I'll jump on that," and each like
Uh,
without even really considering the fact they don't have a full training camp, et cetera,
right.
et cetera.
Well, so if they're anything like me, like I'm always training regardless. So it to get in fight shape, it generally doesn't take much. But fight shape and fully prepared for these elite level athletes, this is something different, and it's something I'm realizing because I've been known to take fights on short notice. So that's kind of my thing. Like I was just yeah sure I'm good to go whenever. At 9-5 now, I realize that's kind of costing me what would look like a great professional career, or at least on paper, anyways. So I don't know. I just got to make sure I'm better prepared, and a full camp's probably going to be the best way to do that. But everybody knows themselves as well. Like I was probably more confident going into this fight than a few of my other fights. I felt great. Felt everything training wise felt great and everything. We got in there and I looked over and I saw how much he rehydrated since weigh-ins. I was like, I missed fighting at 145 for like 3 seconds, and then I seen him and I was like, yeah, I forgot how much. That's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, 9-5, which is a good record overall. 1-3 in the UFC. Where do you think that leaves you? I mean, obviously, you're in a division that doesn't have as many fighters, so it's not like the lightweight division where a 1-3 record is costly. What is next? Obviously, I'm sure you want to stay in the UFC. Is there a name that comes to mind or anything like that?
Unfortunately, no, I can't think of anybody like directly that I could actually see myself fighting. I always look at the guys higher up because those are the guys I want to fight. That's what I want to be prepared for. Um, I don't know yet. Like when the see, I'm back to how I am though because I want to get back in there as soon as possible. It's just that's just who I am. But yeah, I want to take a step, make sure I fill the right holes, and like make sure I'm better prepared. Like this was one time I can for sure say I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was. So
Do you have a timeline on when you can return to train? Obviously, like you said, you're struggling to walk, the legs are hurting. Do you have a ideally? I'm sure you'd want to be back in there yesterday.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
is there?
I'm already telling people like that's I want to get back in the gym. I want to train. Like I want to start filling these holes. I want to start that process. I don't know yet. I got a eye appointment tomorrow to get to see if they need to go forward with surgery. I'm still seeing double right now, so it's kind of frustrating. Yeah, so I got that appointment, and then I got to go get just some regular physical therapy on my legs for the next week or so, and then hopefully I get an idea. I'm still in between looking for like a real spot I want to call home. That's another thing. I was kind of like when all this COVID pandemic stuff started, I had just barely stopped training with Tony Frickland, so I hadn't really had a chance to find a new home yet. So that's one reason I was over in Portland. And thankfully, I love those guys over at ATT Portland. That's Fabiano Schörner's the man. Really, I really respect that guy. I can't wait to go back over there actually. So.
What's the state of the pandemic there? Is it everybody back in gym, or is it just like limited?
It was pretty limited. Like Ricky Simone, he kind of had a special deal working out where he could go when he needed to because he had a fight and stuff. So, but it was far from a full gym. So, yeah, I don't know. They're talking about everything should be moving forward. Everything should start returning to normal for them as far as the gym goes. So, hopefully soon. I want to make my way back over there and say thanks to everybody.
When you look at, I mean, obviously it was an empty arena, and for us fans, it was weird at times, especially in between rounds. You've obviously fought in an empty arena before when you fought for the Contender series. Mm-hmm. Is it different? Like when between rounds, obviously you don't hear anything, but when you're actually fighting, does that play a factor in the way you perform?
I think so, just a little bit. The cool part about it being an empty arena, I think you really get to see. It's just you in there. Like I'm somebody who kind of feeds off the crowd. I like the noise. I like when people are screaming, whether or not it's good or bad. Like I don't know. I've just that's always been like a reward for me. So without it, I definitely don't like it. But I don't know. It's got its pros and cons. It's also nothing to distract. You can clearly hear instructions from both sides. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Is it like you must have been hearing their corner yell and things like that? Do you change your game plan? Did you change the way you were fighting based on what you heard their corner saying?
I just tried to react accordingly to both, just because I could hear them saying certain things, but they had their own like code words for stuff. So I was trying to figure out what that was without putting myself in danger to be taken advantage of by what they were looking for. So that was a little strange because I could hear him say, "Yeah, I see it," and I'm like, "Oh crap, what's he see? What's he see? Where am I looking?" And then I was just getting kicked in the leg again and again.
Yeah, can you hear like the like for example like DC? Do you hear the commentators and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, you could hear a lot of it, not all of it, but you can hear a lot of it, especially when I hear or I catch one of those kicks and I can hear everybody scream "ooh." I'm like, "Oh, that must not have looked very good." And then yeah.
This weekend coming up is really exciting, I find, especially for your division, the 135 division. What are your thoughts on the fights going on? Obviously, Cody Garbrandt is a big fight there. Yep. Aljamain Sterling, another big fight.
Yep.
How do you think the whole thing should unfold with Henry Cejudo relinquishing his belt?
Man, I was really thinking that they were going to do Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan for the vacant belt. It just made the most sense to me. But I don't know if they both need to get one more before that happens. Makes sense. I think regardless, it's still going to be those two that are fighting each other. I just think they're the top of the line right now. Really good. I'm interested to see how Garbrandt can handle, and he's on a bigger skid than I am. So I'm interested to see how he handles that. He's somebody I saw him fight years ago, and I think I was still fighting at 145 at the time, and that was somebody that I just envisioned myself fighting eventually. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping he can pull it off.
Yeah, it's a big fight for him against the Sunsao. I think it's a really, really tough fight, especially on a 3-fight skid. Yeah. Very, very dangerous fight for him to take, I think.
100%. I was kind of surprised that he took that. I was almost expecting to see like some boxing shenanigans where he's getting fed somebody to build him back up because I think he's still got a lot of that star power. So. Yeah,
I mean, I think outside of I think the biggest issue he has is he gets very emotional. Yeah. You know, if he gets clipped, he just goes crazy. And, you know, you saw it against TJ and against Munoz.
Yeah.
And I think this is really a good test for him because I don't think he's going to be able to put his Sunstyle away. So I think it's going to be a tough grind for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Sunsal's just he's a tank. He's a hard guy to put away. So, man, that's a tall order. I'm interested to see all these fights. There's a Stammen and Kelleher. I think they're fighting at 45 this weekend too. Yep. But that's one I'm interested to see. I want to see how Stammen comes off dealing with the song controversy, whatever. So
yeah, I think it's an extremely tough fight for Kelleher. I'm surprised he took it, especially given the fact that he just fought recently.
Yeah, must be feeling good after that knockout is why. Yeah,
that was a crazy knockout.
Yeah, that was great.
What went behind the decision? Because obviously you moved up to 145 for this fight. Was it the short notice, and was it something you both agreed on? Like, wow, we're both 135ers, may as well fight at 45?
Exactly, pretty much. My manager hit me up on 10 days out and was saying that he's got an offer for a fight at featherweight. I used to fight there, so I'm like, oh, cool. And he'd been dropping a bunch of fat jokes after seeing me in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he thought I was heavier than I was because I literally woke up for weigh-in day. I had to cut 2 pounds. So 145 is not a cut for me. Yeah, and then he was like, yeah, okay, we got this deal, a new contract. If you want it, it's here. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm in. Let's do that. And yeah, just thought it would work out a little better. So
yeah, I mean, well, I think taking a fight on 10 days notice and during a pandemic when the UFC is having a hard time finding fights, I don't think that's, the end of the line. I think it just shows the kind of person you are. And I think the UFC respects people who are willing to take fights on 10 days notice. Like, who does that? Like,
right. I can appreciate that. Hell yeah.
Yeah, especially during a pandemic. It's
right.
It's hard to come by guys who are willing to do that. And I think Dana White said it publicly. Like, it's hard to find fights right now. A lot of guys aren't willing to do it. Yeah,
it was crazy. He gave us that little pre-fight speech and got everybody fired up. And I thought we were gonna have to fight in the before everything went down. It was crazy.
Yeah, when it comes to motivating fighters, he is definitely
he's great at that.
He's unbelievable at that.
For sure.
Ricky Simone had a crazy fight. You guys are related, aren't you?
Yeah, he's my cousin.
Yeah, it was a crazy fight, back and forth. Very, very narrow decision. What are your thoughts on his performance?
I thought he did great. He did everything. So he had a short camp as well. I think his was like 2.5 weeks or something. But so anyways, I went over. We got to training and stuff. Literally everything that Coach Scherner was having us work on happened in the fight. Defended the guillotines properly. Dealt with the wrestling properly. Outstruck. That was like 100% according to game plan. Other than getting the finish, that's something we're always looking for. But yeah, I thought he performed great. Ricky's he's something special. He's got some great stuff behind him.
Yeah, well, he was fighting a hell of a fighter in Ray Borg, who's really, really good. He fought for the title, so hell of a performance and a 2-fight losing streak. I think he really needed it. And how do you feel about him cutting the mullet though?
So when he first started growing the mullet, I was the first one to tell him, don't do it. Like, you got to get rid of that thing. I was always nagging him about that. So he finally did, and I was finally happy. I don't think, man, he got a lot of flack for that, actually. Social media blew up when that happened. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I was upset. I was like, that's what he was known for. Like, it's like if Roy Nelson shaved, like it would. I don't know. It changes who he is as a person, I think. But.
I could see that. To me, he's back to normal now. So,
but it worked. I mean, he won the fight. So if cutting a mullet did it,
more power to it, I guess. Yeah.
How's the testing? Obviously, a lot of controversy with the UFC. They're forcing fighters to fight. How's the testing been? And from a fighter perspective, how do you take the whole thing?
It kind of is what it is. I had USADA. I was dealing with USADA at the same time, so it's just another thing to go through, another hoop to jump through. It is what it is. Fight weeks kind of always got some unprecedented obstacles to work over, and that's basically what that was. So it was a little uncomfortable. The ones in Florida, you saw, they go all the way up the nose, like tickle your brain. The ones here, they changed and they swab the back of your throat. That one might have been more uncomfortable. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, I got the nose one done really early on in the pandemic, and it kind of caught me off guard. So they did both nostrils, and the first one I was like, ooh, but knowing the second one was coming, I didn't like it. But I never got the throat one done. I don't think I could.
Yeah, the throat ones. I didn't like that one. Like, it seemed like it was going to be easier. It was not.
How many tests do you do throughout the week? Is it just one or?
So this time we had to do one right when we got there, and then one after weigh-ins or before weigh-ins. I'm not real sure. Over in Jacksonville, though, we just had to do the one when we got there. But every morning they check our temperature, and they were doing that same thing here in Vegas. They were checking our temperature every morning. So that was something we had to do by like 11 a.m. every day.
What's the protocol now that you've fought? You went through the testing there. Are they like forcing you or encouraging you to take 14 days, or are you just back home?
I'm just back home. So I live here in Vegas, so I'm just back in my apartment hanging out. I passed all the testing was fine. I passed everything, so yeah, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I was watching the fights, and someone I was with was like, "Why are they all wearing masks if they're all testing and they're all testing?" It's really unusual, and like forcing people to stay 6 feet apart, even though that they just tested and they're fine. It's really strange, and I hope things get kind of sorted out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so do I. That was real strange because that was one thing that went through my mind when we got to the face-offs after weigh-ins. We stood there and he stopped kind of early, and I was expecting him to keep going forward. So I took a little tiny step, and then I was thinking, wait, am I breaking a rule right now? Like, what was I supposed to be doing? I don't know. It's all these other things. I think it's kind of just to appease to the commission. I think they're setting certain guidelines and restrictions, and this is kind of like, okay, well, we're doing this in precaution of this, yada yada, and it kind of goes from there. So whether or not it's all actually helpful, I don't know, but I know it probably looks better to the eye that this is being taken that serious.
Yeah, I think that's more or less what it is, because I don't think it really makes a difference. Like, you guys are just you're gonna go fight. Like, if one of you guys gets strangled, drool's gonna be going all over the. Like, so it doesn't make any sense to me, but I guess it is very appeasing to the eye, and especially for people who are watching. They want things to look, I guess, the best they can given the situation.
Exactly.
We have a big fight coming up this weekend, and the second title fight, I think. Third title fight since the pandemic, if you include the interim title.
Uh-huh.
What are your thoughts on the fight? I'm Canadian, so part of me is rooting for Felicia Spencer.
Right.
But deep down, I know it's a tough test in Amanda Nunes. What's your prediction?
Man, so I picked against Amanda a few times, and she's always pulled it off. I've picked against Felicia like every single time, and she always pulled it off. So I'm pretty much whatever I choose is probably going to be wrong. Like, I'm really not sure. I'm kind of thinking Amanda's got too much firepower and too much. She can be too much for her overall. But Felicia's got this. She's got this weird like dominating thing about her where she can just get a hold of people and then they don't know what to do. So I still think Amanda's going to be too much, but I'm trying not to overlook Felicia.
And I guess we'll kind of shift the focus now, and sort of the same thing with your division. Obviously, a lot's going to unfold here. Jan, Aldo, Edgar, Munoz. There's a lot of big fights. Who do you think a year from now will be holding the belt?
A year from now, probably I want to say Peter Jan's probably going to catch it and hold on to it for a few fights. It's hard to count out Sandhagen. That guy's kind of a problem. Yep. He's got a real weird body type for the division. Real big. He's got awkward style, but he knows everything really well. That's a difficult fight. I want to say Peter Jan's probably still going to be the guy, though. I think he's just too much for a lot of people right now.
All right, perfect. And then, like, last question before I let you go and probably ice up your leg. What sort of things are you doing when you're not training right now during the pandemic? Obviously, you can't get out. Are you big into gaming? What shows are you watching on TV?
Gaming's like the main thing I'm doing. Yeah, I play a lot of Call of Duty. I bought a PC last year, so I've been doing everything on PC. Mostly Call of Duty. I got to go get the new Final Fantasy VII. I've been waiting until after the fight so I can get that. And I throw on kind of whatever's on Netflix. I just started watching that Space Force show with Steve Carell.
Yeah, I heard it's got mixed reviews, but I heard it's really good.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I might have to throw it on again. I binged it all real fast. So, but no, it was really good. Yeah, pretty much anything sci-fi I end up throwing on and I end up enjoying. So.
Do you a question I've wondered but never asked? Does UFC provide all fighters with Fight Pass?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever set that up though. I didn't end up watching much on Fight Pass. I watch everything on ESPN now. That's where like, so half the stuff's available on ESPN Plus, and then half the stuff's available on Fight Pass. So I hop on my parents' account because they have it, and I watch like Sug and stuff like that. But yeah,
Right.
we're supposed to get provided that. I just haven't set it up yet.
Oh, okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like,
Yeah.
I always wondered that. I was like, should I just like register to be a fighter just so I could get it? I don't think I'd want to go through the leg kicks.
Don't do it. It's not as fun as it looks.
All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, especially 2 days out after a fight. So, looking forward to seeing you back in there, and hopefully the pandemic and everything's cleared up so you can get good training and everything.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, man. It was good talking to you.
All right, man. All the best.
All right, thanks, dude. Take it easy.
Yeah, you too.